There we go. It's recording.
Welcome to Jake and Trev Review Everything Live.
I'm Jake.
And I'm Trev. And we'd like to welcome our viewers here to joining us again for our second live show.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be a good one.
Double up. 2 times multiplier.
Mm-hmm.
Headshot.
Now you're playing with power.
Godlike. All right. So, let's go to our first viewer question. We're going to be prattling on about this for a couple minutes at least.
Yep, and just as a reminder to our viewers, we're going to kind of alternate between questions we received beforehand and questions from the live chat. So, if you have any questions that pop into your mind right now, feel free to post them on there, and we'll get around to it.
All right. So, our first question is from the movie doctor. Patrick, he says, what did you think of the new Xbox One reveal? See, we're going to try to keep this brief, but there's a lot of bones to pick.
Yeah, we could go on about this one for a while.
It's a veritable Indiana Jones dinosaur dig of bone picking. So
okay. It's awful. It's just the worst. To put it simply, I don't think I'm going to be investing in the next console generation. Now is a great time to be a retro gamer.
Yeah, yeah. Well, retro games are awesome anyways.
Well, yes, but more so now. I just don't see what the benefit to me is. The presumption that I have an Xbox, that I have an Xbox or that's connected to the internet. The presumption that that they should get money for secondary game transfers on the secondary market.
Yeah. Well, let's start with the good. The good about the Xbox One reveal.
Nothing. No.
Well, hold on. The good about the Xbox One reveal is that there's motion capture for the Kinect 2. You can tell it what to do, which is something I don't have a Kinect. I've never used a Kinect, but from what I hear, you can already do that. But this is more in tune. They fine-tuned it so that you can yell at it and tell it to do stuff, and then it's like, okay, because I'm Xbox Kinect 2. Mm-hmm. The other thing is they have already released games, at least trailers for Quantum Flux or
Quantum Theory, Quantum something.
That was the only non-IP that I've heard of. They had, in addition to that, they had football, Madden or whatever. I don't know if it was specifically Madden. I don't play football games unless it's Tecmo Bowl or 10-yard fight. So, but then they had
Mutant League.
Yeah, and then they had Call of Duty. Obviously, they had a Call of Duty thing.
What a surprise!
Yeah, they revealed the console, and it looks nice. The controller looks ergonomic, which is always good. It doesn't look like it's very different from the 360 controller. It's just black this time, which is something that's weird. It always seems like they alternate between black and white for consoles. Like the Wii went from white to the Wii U for black, and then the Xbox was black. And then the 360 was white, but then they turned it into a black for the Slim. Mm-hmm. Even the PlayStation, when the PlayStation at the PSX originally was, well, I guess it was gray, but then the PS1 was white, and then the PS2 was black. And I guess they kind of stuck with that. So your console's either black or it's white,
right?
And alternating apparently is what the 360 does.
Okay, so that's the goodish.
The console itself looks like trash, though. It looks like a big old box of dumps. So.
Yeah, and to put it simply, like I said,
oh hi, Mark.
It's not worth your time. They better start shaping up. I would encourage everybody to, hear them out. They're going to tell us what the fees for everything are. No matter what, I don't think it's fair. If I have a physical copy and I give it to Jake, it should just be Jake's now. Xbox shouldn't get a cut. When I sold my Pontiac on the secondary market, I didn't have to send a check to Pontiac because I sold my car again.
Well, in case you don't understand what Trev's talking about, basically what they're saying is that when you buy a game for the Xbox One, which we haven't talked about that as a stupid name. I just want to say that's a stupid name.
Terrible.
It's confusing. But if you buy a game on the Xbox One, you have to register it to your Xbox Live account. And then your console is the only console that'll be able to use it. If you
it has a mandatory install, too. So
right, you have to install it to your hard drive, which they're saying it's 500 gigabytes. So that's not considering how large this generation's games are on the
let alone next generation's games.
Yeah, it's going to be, you're not going to be able to fit that many games, including your saves, your online games.
Right. So forced install, if you have your games registered only to your account.
There's a lending fee there. We're talking about a lending fee where it's like, oh, hey Trev, I have an Xbox One game. Here, you want to borrow it?
Yeah, it looks like something I might be interested in. Maybe if I like it, I'll buy it.
So he puts it on his Xbox One, except for they'll be like, well, it's not registered to your system, so you have to pay us a fee to borrow it. It's a borrowing fee.
Right. Which, again, it's where did they think that they had the right to do that?
Right, and then that goes into the secondary market as well, because everybody in the industry fucking hates GameStop, which I think is ridiculous. A lot of my pre-order purchases, a lot of my new game, I don't buy a lot of new games because I am poor as shit. So when I buy new games, it's like 1 or 2 a year. I have to save up for them. I usually pre-order them because I'm usually pretty psyched about it and I really want to play those games. When you have a pre-order from GameStop, I would much rather pre-order from GameStop. They have different incentives, DLC, stuff like that. They have like better packages. I got the loot chest edition from Borderlands 2. That was kind of cool. Mm-hmm. A lot of collector crap in it. But GameStop is very friendly to gamers, and if I can't afford a game, I can go in, browse around. Oh, look, this game that I'm kind of interested in, nobody else wanted apparently. It's like $15, so I'm going to buy this game for $15.
Here's a game I took a pass on when it released 2 years ago, but now it's down in price. I'm looking for something. Maybe I'll give it a try.
Yeah, but they hate GameStop because GameStop makes a lot of money off of that. They release the game, they sell it for $60. The company makes whatever their cut is of that, and then people come in and trade it back in, and then they're like, well, I don't know why you wouldn't just rent it, but they buy it, they bring it to GameStop. GameStop says, we'll give you this much for it. They put it on the shelf, sell it for a profit again, but at less. So, you sell your Madden game. You're buying a Madden game for the first day it comes out for $60. Then you go back to the store a week later and say, I'm gonna sell this to you for $30. They have like discounts and stuff. So you give it back to GameStop for $30. So you only really paid $30 to rent it. Again, stupid, but people do it, And then you come in and it's like, oh well, I don't want to buy a new copy like sealed because I don't have that much money. I can buy a used copy. Mm-hmm. So you go in, they sell it for like $45-$50 depending on how Madden games drop it drastically in price because they make one every fucking year. But the point is that there is an economy there that's good for the consumer, which is us, but it is terrible for the video game producers, and that's why they hate it so much, is that the GameStop is making money pretty handily on the secondary market, where the people who are selling the games are only getting that one chunk of money when they first sell the initial batch. So in response to that, they're saying, okay, well, if you buy a game new, you have to register on the Xbox One. Mm-hmm. And then basically you have... Yeah, oh, absolutely. Deadpool the game. You know it. If I get a chance, I'm going to pre-order that. But, yeah, you buy it, you have to register it, it's registered to you, and then if you resell it, then the person who buys it, even if you're like, I don't want this anymore, I'll trade it. I liked this game, it was fun, but I want to trade it to you, Trevor, for another game.
Mm-hmm, that's fine, because I have a game that you might like, and I can trade it to you.
Oh, yay. But now Trevor, when he puts the disc in, it's like, well, this game's not registered to you, so you have to pay a fee.
Or what's even worse is that even on the same console, say Jake and I were roommates and we both had a console, account, I could have a game, but it's only tied to my profile, not his. So if he wants to play it on his profile, he also has to pay an additional fee.
Yeah, that ties in with the borrowing fee.
And it's just ridiculous. Yeah. They're just trying to nickel and dime us more. We've spent enough time talking about it.
Yeah. They, in addition to that, they have... you have to be online with it at least once a day. Yeah. Some games have to be online the entire time while you're playing them. It goes back to the online DRM. We actually did a skit about it. Mm-hmm. If you want to take a look into that, it's probably on our YouTube page. Well, it is on our YouTube page, but
with certainty.
Yeah, and it's funny because I don't want to say we predicted it with our funniness, but it seems in very many respects that is exactly what they're trying to do, even though all of the online DRM that happened, Diablo 3 and SimCity, obviously was a disaster. Right. So it's funny to see them basically be like, oh no, that was fine. There was just some kinks. Not thousands of people were pissed off at launch for either of those games. It doesn't matter. They bought it. They pre-ordered it, probably from GameStop. That's not our problem. But yeah, look more into the Xbox One. Kotaku, there's a link for that on our page, but they actually did a couple of really good articles on that. They kind of compile all the things that have been said officially, the things they've been dancing around and all that, and so far it's just a muddle of absolute shit.
And I mean, it's not unrecoverable. At this stage, they could reduce the cost of new games to make it fairer, so that, a new game maybe costs $45 and then have fees or so forth, or they could drop the cost of the Xbox Gold. They could unify all their Xbox Live and just have it a free service, since they're making you pay for everything else.
Yeah, which it should be. If you are requiring someone to be online, you shouldn't make them pay for that also. Then you're making them pay for the console, you're making them pay for the games. If you buy a used game, then you have to pay for that again, and then to pay to be online just to play your games. I mean, they're just going back to the well so many times. That's greedy as shit.
Mm-hmm.
And,
okay. We're talking your off. Next question.
Next question. Does anybody in the chat have a question for us?
Yep. Put it up here, and otherwise we're going to move on to the next one we have pre-made. So let's go to the next one here. Who do you want to see as the next Doctor Who, and why? From Josh Rhinus. Whew, boy, that is a tough one. I'm not too invested
in the series, so this is more of a Trevor question. But personally, I'm just going to throw out my answer right now before Trevor gets into it. I'm going to say Benedict Cumberbatch, because he's British and he should do everything.
No. Because he's British and he should do everything. How about Stephen Fry, if we wanted to have another Brit? Because
I changed my answer. I want Stephen Fry.
Here's the thing. Doctor Who's been getting progressively younger throughout the Doctors, and I don't think that should necessarily continue that way, because they're going to get to a point where they're going to have like teenagers on as Doctor Who. Yeah. So I think it'd be a really great way to mix it up and have an older Doctor Who on there again, and have Stephen Fry, who is literally wonderful in everything, and you're an absolute fool if you don't know that.
Oh yeah, no, he is a delight.
So I want Stephen Fry.
Stephen Fry sounds good. Any questions? We're still waiting on questions from the chat. I don't know if it's being laggy or not.
Ryanus is having some difficulty on his computer, but is having an easy time on his phone. That's interesting that your phone is picking this up faster than your computer. Yeah. I'd suggest getting a new network card or something.
I got my phone and chatting on here. Oh, okay. Let's see. Well, let's. Well, that was a Josh Ryanus question. We can get back to later Josh Ryanus questions later. Michael Swanson says TV, sports, COD. Oh, look, a dog. Oh, yeah, the Call of Duty video that they showed at the Xbox One reveal had dogs, and they were like, there's dogs in Call of Duty now.
Amazing!
And it's
dogs! I love dogs!
I love dogs, and I love Call of Duty, because if you're alive on the planet and you play video games, then you love Call of Duty. I'm not gonna...
Rhinus asks, what, Jake, not a girl doctor? We were having a conversation yesterday, everybody, about a similar subject.
It got pretty philosophical and deep.
Apparently, at some point in Doctor Who's past, it was addressed that a Time Lord not only could come back as a different person, but he could in fact switch gender or other things too. So the question was raised, why not a girl doctor? In fact, I've seen several websites advocating for some young British, I think she's a comedian, to be the first female doctor.
That'd be cool. And I don't have a problem with that.
I don't personally have a problem with female doctors. I just feel like it would be a pretty large departure, and when you're dealing with the fact of that you're already getting a new actor in there in the first place, you already have plenty of potential for new stories based on having a different person playing the role. Also making it a different gender could be fine, or could be problematic.
That's the thing. I think that I welcome any kind of change, gender, or race, or anything like that for any character in any IP that's being brought to the small screen or the big screen. And that I also think that we should give them a fair shake before they either make it awesome or totally fuck it up.
Poeticy says Neil Patrick Harris for the Doctor.
He's not a Brit,
well, here's the thing. If it doesn't have to be a man, why can't it not be... Because here's the thing. He's an alien. He's an alien from another planet. So why does he have to have an English accent?
I don't know.
It fits under the same category.
But
there are a lot of things...
Then you get into a slippery slope argument where it's like, why not just make the Doctor a dog? Why not make him a toaster?
Because women are not the same things as dogs or toasters, and accents are not the same thing as dogs or toasters. So it can go either way.
Well, we're talking about gender specifically.
Well, okay, so the final note on that I want to say is that I don't think it's a necessary change. I think it could be an interesting change, or it could really be disastrous, and it could alienate a lot of fans, and it could mean another end of the Doctor Who serial, and it would have to be put on the shelf for years. So I think it could be really problematic.
I think that it could be. I think that we should embrace it with open arms until it becomes problematic. I don't. I think
Okay.
we should, well, that's how Trevor feels. Trevor feels that it could be very problematic. I feel that it could be awesome, and that we should let it happen if it does happen.
So, what do we do if it does become problematic then?
What if there's another British guy that everybody loves, and that becomes problematic? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I guess we can't sit and play the what if game on this one. I'm sure the writers know what they're doing, and they wouldn't do something really out of left field that would mess up the show.
Without being prepared to do something awesome with it. They're not just going to be like, let's just do this for shits and giggles. It's like, no, I have some ideas. I'm going to put them down on paper. We're going to write them into the show. It's going to be awesome, and there's going to be a reason for anything that we do.
Let me see the mouse for a second.
Well, hold on. Let's see. So, actually, let's see. We got Mike Swanson here. He's asking on the chat. We actually already got your question queued up here, but we'll answer it really quick.
What about the Misfits? The Misfits?
What about Misfits? Oh, Misfits is a British television show about superheroes. Well, they have powers, but they're not really useful.
Oh, is it kind of like a British Heroes sort of thing?
Yeah, but they're all snarky, and it's,
Oh, like British people. I'm talking to you, Tom. I'm talking to you.
Yikes. Trevor, always with this. He's such a nationalist. Let's see. Okay, so Michael Swanson asked 2 questions. Jake, favorite N64 game? I thought about this a lot. It's the one game that I can always go back to when I'm rifling through my collection and can't figure out what I want to play. Mario 64. I know that's pretty milquetoast, but I can get all 120 stars within a couple days on and off. And I still enjoy it to this day doing that. So, it's like going home. Just going back to the old stomping ground. You know what you're doing. You're having fun. All your friends are there. I love Mario 64. So,
and then also from Michael Swanson, Trev, favorite franchise game. Well, that's tough. I definitely like both entries in the Chrono Trigger franchise, Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross. But I don't know if really a franchise necessarily encompasses 2 games. I sort of feel like you have to go with the trilogy rule on this one. So let's tune up our...
I don't know, it's a franchise.
Well, sure. But I'm going to tune up my controversy alarm. We don't have a sound. There's no sound.
Oh, no.
Mass Effect. Mass Effect is my favorite franchise. No, here's where the controversy comes in.
He's going to throw controversy.
And the ending of Mass Effect 3 didn't bother me at all. It didn't bother me one bit. If you didn't see it coming, you're not paying attention. Everybody who acted like they got cheated at the end of Mass Effect 3, you're a big fat baby who wants it all. You want your cake and you eat it too. Too bad. You can look at the cake or you can eat it, but you can't, whatever. The Mass Effect 3 thing didn't bother me. It's a great series, and I think it's probably my favorite franchise game.
Yeah. Let's try to keep it down here.
Oh, sure.
We don't have to shout.
I have to shout.
These people can hear us.
No.
Can you hear us now?
You can't hear my anger.
Wow.
Okay, so going back to the list of questions.
Yeah.
Okay, Shelby Flack writes...
Are there any movies that aren't based off of other books or media that can stand on their own as a good movie?
Boy, that's a pretty deep question.
Yeah, we kind of got into this at work the other day. Actually, the thing about movie properties is the movie studios are companies, and as companies that have to make money, they have to usually place their bets on a sure thing, and sure things usually have to be books or comic books or TV franchises,
an existing
or
property.
Whatever. Yeah. So you say, oh, Star Trek. People know about Star Trek. They'll go to see that. But if you say, oh, it's, like, for instance, John Carter of Mars, there's something that a lot of deep sci-fi people will know immediately, but you put that on the big screen, even if it is Disney. It's one of Disney's recent bombs, which is kind of funny because they rarely do that. But nobody really knew all that much about it and stuff. So original IPs over the last couple of years that aren't based on true stories or books or comic books or whatever.
Inception?
Yeah. Inception was
a great movie, and it's not based on something else. mean, arguably there have been similar ideas, but if you use that as the qualifier, nothing has ever been invented since ancient times. So
right. Well, let's see. Original movie IP. That's a really tough one. That's a really Django Unchained. That was recent. That was like the end of last year.
Okay, well, no, I mean, we're getting into Tarantino territory, and I mean,
well, he remixes the stuff, but it is original.
Remix.
Yeah. Good. It's really tough. I mean, if you think about anything that won an Oscar last year, and I'm not saying that Oscars are necessarily make the movies good. It showcases that they are good, but that's still a group of people that are within the industry. There are plenty of movies that almost didn't, like Argo. Argo was awesome. That was based on a story, but still, they almost missed out on that one until it started getting awards other places. I don't know. It's a tough
Inception.
one. Inception's good.
Inception is the answer.
I mean, here's a fun fact. Die Hard was based on a book.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it was based on a character in a book series that was also played by... what's his name?
Anyway, so yeah, there's few, but they're few and far in between. Okay, next question.
Oh, hey, nice to see you, man.
Joel Sundquist writes, I want to hear your differing opinions on Game of Thrones. Jake, you wanna start on this one, bud?
Oh, differing opinion on Game of Thrones. Okay, I'm going to go through and say that I haven't seen most of Game of Thrones. I've seen a few episodes, mostly from the first and second seasons. The differing opinion is that I'm not really a huge fan of Game of Thrones, and Trevor is. I mean, that's really the only difference. We can... Trevor can try to convince me that it's a really good show, and
it's a really great show,
and it has aspects that are good. I'm not going to sit here and say the whole thing's a steamy pile of shit. It just doesn't interest me. What's
interesting to me, I guess, about the people who don't like it is that the thing I hear over and over again is that there's too much talking. There's too much talking, and there's not enough sword fighting. Well, and
I understand it's a show about intrigue.
Okay, well, I just won't talk. That's fine.
Well,
you just go ahead.
Well, no, you're making assumptions about.
I'm not making assumptions. I'm saying that this is the argument I hear a lot. Is that there's too much talking. The constant jokes are conversation of thrones, chair of dialogue of chairs. Yeah, it's a drama, and it doesn't principally operate as following like a warrior on his quest, on his conquest of some enemy. But what I think is funniest is that a lot of these same people are into shows like Rome or Deadwood or Carnival, and these are all shows that have a lot of the same HBO hallmarks of scenes of nudity thrown in unnecessarily.
Can I jump in here really quick?
Yeah.
Carnival was a show about the Dust Bowl, which accurately depicts the Dust Bowl. It also has a lot of magical elements that they showcase pretty heavily. In Game of Thrones, as far as I've seen, there are supposedly dragons and magic and knights and zombies and all those sorts of things, and instead of showing those things outright, they basically tease all the time about how it could show up, it could happen, and then sometimes it does, and then it only lasts for a couple minutes before people start talking again. So I guess personally for me, this is more about the difference between me and Trev on Game of Thrones. Personally for me, it is not a show that I enjoy because fantasy for me is more about it's almost I'm not even really a big Lord of the Rings fan, but it's like if Lord of the Rings was about all the times that they sat down and talked and none of the action or any of that stuff. So it doesn't hold my attention, and it's a difference of opinion. I'm not saying that Trev is wrong for liking it, and I hope that Trevor's not saying I'm wrong for not liking it. But
nope, that's just like your opinion, man.
Yep. So that's where we differ, and I'm sure you guys have differing opinions about it too. So let's see. Boop 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 boop. Let's see. Only seen the closed captioning for Game of Thrones, not the visuals. Interesting. Let's see. Did we take that off of here? Yeah, we did. All right. Horror movies versus gore movies. Do you think gore can go too far?
Yep.
That's an interesting question. I think that horror can have gore in it. I mean, gore movies are... here's the thing, because Dead Alive is a really good movie. Joel actually introduced me to that a while ago. I should have seen it a lot sooner, but I'm glad that he hooked me up and let me watch that. It's really gory, but it would be in the category of splatstick. Most of the gore is kind of shown with a mask of hilarity to it. So I don't mind that so much. Straight up, like torture movie stuff doesn't interest me. I'm sure that plenty of people enjoy that, and that's weird to me. I'm going to judge those people, but yeah, there are certain movies where it just kind of goes overboard, and then it's like, well, you're not really telling a story. You're just showing people get their limbs torn off and stuff, and it's not that fun. Horror movies are supposed to be scary, and sometimes the scary parts are when people's guts fall out. But don't focus too much on that. That's my opinion.
Yeah, torture porn is not horror, and horror doesn't have to be torture porn. And when you put things, I guess it's become a bad enough thing that we have a name for it. And yeah, so horror can really go too far when it just gets into showing the slices and tendons and everything. That's supposed to give you shock, but when you spam the button over and over again, it just ruins all dramatic tension, and you end up not being scared, and you just kind of end up being queasy, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, which isn't to say that there can't be, some gruesome. There ought to be gruesome things in a lot of horror stories, but it's all about context.
Sometimes,
and it's about how you space it out and where you use it.
Yeah, sometimes. The Ring, for example. The Ring is a horror movie, and a lot of the things that are scary about that movie, it might be a little overplayed. Some people may groan when I say that. I enjoy The Ring. I really thought that it was a good horror story. But a lot of the things that they talk about in the movie are told and not shown, which is, I think, makes things scarier. When you're talking about things like Friday the 13th, or Halloween, the originals really talked about the origins of those characters and not so much showed it. I'm not a huge fan of the new Halloween, because they basically just kind of spoil that character for you right out of the gate. So, I don't know. But yeah, that's, sometimes it's scarier if you let your mind do the thinking. Like we were talking in our Evil Dead review, there's a moment where you just hear horrible things going on, and your mind is filling with all these horrible things that could be happening, and the movie just lets your imagination scare the crap out of you instead of doing it themselves, and sometimes that can be disappointing too if the effects aren't proper. So, but yeah. Alright, next question. You only have so many characters to do that.
Apparently.
Well,
I'm just going to say this, in response to the showing magic on Game of Thrones and not telling, they're starting at an age where magic has faded from the world. It is something that happens in stories, and a lot of people don't even believe that it's a thing that ever happened. So when you start the series and they're talking about magic, it's because nobody does magic. And so it's like we talk about magic. But then part of the premise is that magic is returning. So as the show's gone on, yes, they have shown more magic because it's now returned. So, I guess I like and don't like the show don't tell rule, because there's some things that you can't show because it doesn't make sense yet. So to prepare you for when you do show it, you do have to tell.
Okay. Let's see. So far, you've mostly done electronic entertainments for your reviews. Do you plan on branching out? That is incorrect. We have done one board game.
Well, it says mostly, and that's true. Mostly we have done electronic entertainment. I guess when it comes to books, I'm a pretty smart guy, and Jake is too. I just don't know how we could do a book very exciting. There's not a lot of things you can easily reference to, unless we cut to us acting out sections of a book,
it could be
which would be interesting.
It would take a lot more time. I mean, we generally this season have put out a video every week. not necessarily a review every week. We did start doing that, but at one point we kind of had to branch out to the Obscure Sphere and other things like that. So books, we would love to get around to books, and it's just we have to figure out the format first. So it's easier for us now because we are already familiar with formats for video games, and now we know how to do board games. We might do a couple more of those in the future.
Yeah,
we try to, that's the thing. Everything really refers to the kinds of things that people would be interested, which would be you, in seeing reviews of. We can do a soup every once in a while as a gag, but really, if you want an in-depth review on a book, it's better. I feel like a book review would have to be written. Like, I think that would be the most appropriate way to kind of feel a book review.
So, basically, when we figure out how to make an entertaining book review in a similar caliber and style that we do our normal reviews, we'd be happy to do it. But until then, electronic entertainment is just something that lends itself more to these sorts of reviews than other subjects.
Yeah. So, any questions? Let's see what we're going on in the chat here.
What is actually in those mugs?
Jim says the ring is my jam as well. This is coffee. We're drinking coffee right now.
19 times out of 20, it's coffee. Very once in a while, it's tea or water, but it's coffee. And
sometimes it's whiskey.
And it's damn good coffee, if I do say so.
It is really good coffee. I had whiskey in here once, but we never actually used that footage. That was from the first take of our Highlander 2 video.
Yeah.
And even then I got a little chatty, so.
It's
more than usual? Yes, absolutely. It was bad.
Okay.
It makes you feel like you're talking about important things.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you record yourself talking on whiskey, that's when the truth comes out, and it's like, you're not really making any sort of points or sense.
Whiskey is tongue lubricant. It's true.
Loosens the tongue. Let's see. We just did that.
Mark Larson.
Joel says...
No, Joel says.
Wait, what? Where? What?
No, nothing. Joel's asking a question.
Okay. Twisted Metal. Which one do either of you feel the most into?
None. I wasn't a PlayStation kid growing up, so I only ever got to play it if I went over to somebody else's house. It's a fun game. I prefer Vigilante 8.
Yeah, I was going to say my favorite version of Twisted Metal is Vigilante 8 and Vigilante 8 Second Offense, which was earlier PC game called Interstate 76, which was also pretty cool. I was never a huge Twisted Metal fan. I played 2 on the PlayStation when I was young for a couple levels. It was kind of frustrating. Vigilante 8 just has better physics, better combos, easier to use weapon systems. There's not a whole lot of overkill. I just enjoy it better. So there's that. That's a quick one. My favorite Twisted Metal is Vigilante 8. Let's see. Mark Larson says, "Who do you play in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3?" This is from Mark Larson. I just said that.
I think this is a little bit of a trick question because we can all take a wild guess who Jake likes to play in Marvel vs.
Let's. It's Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and you have 3 characters on your team. So why don't you start and say what 3 characters you like best on your team?
Oh, is that so you have time to think about it?
No, I already know.
Well,
do you want me to say mine?
No. I think that I would probably pick Taskmaster. Taskmaster's really fun. I also like using Chris Redfield. That was a real blast. Kind of different sort of abilities. And then Spider-Man, just because I have such a soft spot in my heart for Spider-Man.
We're going to get to that in a second, Jim. I'll tell you if we're fans. Continue. Spidey I've always had a bit of a soft spot for. He's got some good combos. He's pretty agile. He's a good third member. So yeah. And then also as an honorary mention, Dr. Doom. Dr. Doom is tough as nails. Just brings the Doom hammer. If I had to pick one team, that's tough because I have like a joke team and a serious team. So if I had to pick my joke team, just for fun, for shits and giggles, I'd have to say Deadpool, MODOK, and Rocket Raccoon. If I had to pick a serious team, I'd say Wolverine, Captain America, and probably Iron Man. Is Iron Man in Marvel vs. Capcom 3?
That's a good question. I can't remember if it's him or War Machine.
I'm
pretty sure it's him. I'm pretty sure it's him, Iron Man, but it could be War Machine.
But yeah, Wolverine has some pretty good combos. Captain America, I like his combos.
Yeah, it's been a while since I played. And most people don't. I don't get people over to play very often, which would help.
Yeah.
So
I like fighting. What's a question from the chat? Here's the one we were going to get to. Jim says, "Are you ready for the return of Arrested Development? What is your favorite episode seen thus far?" Ooh, that's a tough one. Well, I just got an answer.
Okay. Well, yeah, I think I can safely say that we're both big fans of Arrested Development. I'm excited as this not only because I get more AD, but I also get the knowledge that this might be a path that other canceled shows might be able to take to getting more production. So there's that. Favorite episode / scene. Gosh, I'm going to alter your question and not really totally answer it. Gosh, there's so many like recurring jokes that I love in that show. I think one of my favorites is probably I've made a huge mistake, and how almost every character on the show ends up saying I made a huge mistake at one point. Gene Parmesan, the central. No, the central Gene Parmesan episode was perfect. And also J. Walter Weatherman, the one-armed man who was used for George Senior's lessons. Brilliant.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Favorite episodes. I really like. I like the third season a lot. Although my favorite episodes are probably from the second season. I could really put in any of those episodes. I gotta say, probably the "There's Always Money in the Banana Stand" episode.
Mm-hmm.
That's a real classic one. The big yellow joint, all those jokes. With the rivalry, and that also has the and that's why you don't play lessons on people with a one-armed man and those kinds of things. I love that episode. The show in general is infinitely quotable. Everything about the characters is quirky and fun. And
I'll be fair, Jim. To answer your question, my favorite episode is probably Motherboy 30. Motherboy XXX.
Oh, yeah. Where it's supposed to be like a cross between Jethro Tull and Kiss. And they're like, not Motherboy the band. This is Motherboy the event. Mm-hmm. And a bunch of dudes show up in face paint and with like piccolos and stuff. And they're like, oh, man. It's pretty hilarious.
Very, very funny.
Yes, this is an awesome rainbow month. Thank you, Jim. You have one, too. Yeah.
Okay, so going back to the pre-questions.
Let's go back to the top and see what I'm going to say here. Let's see. Let's do this one real quick.
Mm-hmm.
If the Nazis from Indiana Jones and Stormtroopers got into a firefight, who would win? Or more importantly, who would lose? And that's from Matt Nash.
Well, I would have to say that the blasters that the Stormtroopers are using probably have a greater penetration than the Nazis' weapons. So I would suggest that the armor that the Stormtroopers are using is probably going to be superior and more effective against the bullets than the Nazis' armor is going to be against the laser.
See, that's tough because neither side are main characters of their series, so they won't have a problem hitting each other.
Mm-hmm. Right. So they'll.
I mean, that's movie logic. If you are Indiana Jones or Luke or Han or anybody from either series of movies, you're impossible to hit by those groups of people.
Right. I would say that since you did not specifically mention any number of them, I'm going to say that there are a lot more Stormtroopers than there are Nazis. You have, many planets worth of Stormtroopers versus only one planet of Nazis. So,
although
unless you count the Star Trek planet of Nazis, which in case then you can have two Nazis.
Oh God. Well, we're not talking about Star Trek. We're talking about Star Wars. Different stars.
Hey, well, they're both going to be overlooked by J.J. Abrams.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
Who knows?
Yay! No, I gotta say, just real quick, in the Star Wars universe, they have laser-type things. They have laser swords and laser guns and things like that. Only in the expanded universes, like the video games, KOTOR and stuff like that.
Do they have regular guns?
Regular guns. So if we're just talking about movie canon, then maybe they're not familiar with bullets and their armor is more for deflecting lasers than bullets.
Even though it's clearly not, and it doesn't deflect a fucking thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So bullets could actually have a better impact than lasers. It's just that bullets are heavier. Lasers are made of energy. So both sides could totally fuck each other up. I'm going to say that.
And to answer the second part of the question, or more importantly, who would lose? Well, I would say certainly not the audience, because nobody loses when stormtroopers and Nazis fight to the death.
Yeah.
Because
if they wipe each other out, then everybody wins. So they both lose. I'm going to say they both. What do you think? They both lose?
They both lose.
They both lose. All right. Let's see. Matt has responded, we're always talking about Star Trek, Jake.
Yes, we are always talking about Star Trek. And Star Wars.
Oh, I thought that... no, that's Emily Diamond. Oh my god. Sorry, Emily. I thought you were saying, oh, this is Matt. That's weird. Okay. Let's see. Who do we have? Who asked the last question?
That was a Matt question.
Wait, who, what? No, I mean, who asked the last question on the chat, because that's where we're going to, is the chat question.
Lower. It's, I think Joel's there is the next one.
Oh, favorite
Tarantino film. Gosh, I'm gonna say Reservoir Dogs. Reservoir Dogs is probably my favorite. It's pretty dandy.
See, it's a difficult question because you could also be talking, well, let's just say Tarantino written, maybe not necessarily directed.
Are you going to say True Romance?
I like True Romance a lot.
True Romance
If it's
good.
A straight up Tarantino, like directed, wrote, was in, obviously, I'd say Pulp Fiction. I like Pulp Fiction a lot.
Both pretty safe answers, but I'll tell you what, it's certainly not Inglourious Bastards, because that's movie trash. Oh, no, it's alright. And just,
Trevor, hey, that's another thing Trevor and I disagree on. I loved Inglourious Bastards, and Trevor does not like it all that much.
Maybe you guys are figuring something out, but let me be clear. I don't like bait and switches.
It was the ad campaign that really ruined it for me.
Yeah, the ad campaign seemed to be promising us a romp across Europe where the Inglourious Bastards just murder Nazis all the way to France, all the way to Paris, or Berlin maybe. But we didn't get either of those things. Most of the action of the Bastards basically takes place off camera, which is total horseshit for a war movie. So yeah, I didn't like that. They should have called it Inglourious Bastards and Shoshana also.
Yeah. I don't know. I liked it a lot. Hans Landa was probably one of the greatest.
Oh yeah. No, well, I don't want to make anyone.
It really made Christoph Waltz stand out, and
he was good.
He's been getting awesome work ever since, and that's good because he's awesome at everything he does. I even think that the Green Hornet benefited from having Christoph Waltz because he was awesome, and double barrel Desert Eagle. Enough said. Ridiculousness. He played it with much fun. Oh, Obi-Wan versus Gandalf. Are we? Yeah, let's do another chat one.
Okay. Someone asked the question, fuck, marry, / kill of the Powerpuff or Powderpuff Girls.
And also
you're
Charlie's
gross.
Angle.
You're gross, Jim. You're gross. Don't ever ask that kind of shit.
They're not even like, okay. A, they're little girls, which is messed up, and then B, like, they're also kind
cartoons.
They're also cartoons. The Charlie's Angels. That's also, I don't know. Personally, I'm not big on the fuck, marry, kill game. It's it's fun.
It's not our thing.
It's fun for like car trips and stuff, but not really something for us. No offense, buddy. Let's see. We did this one already. We did that one last week.
Did we?
Yep.
Tony Corrigan writes, who would win in an archery contest, Hawkeye or Green Arrow? Or in a fight, who would win? Jeez. That's so hard because it's the same character.
I think it would happen with the Superman versus the Flash kind of thing. In the comic books, Superman went up against Flash 3 times. Once Superman beat the Flash, the other time Flash beat Superman, and then the third one they tied.
Yeah,
because they're pretty comparable. So I'd say that's probably I don't want to draw the. I don't want to walk the line on this one again. I'm not super familiar with either of those characters in their own context. Like I know of Hawkeye and the Avengers, like the comic book.
I think Oliver Queen, Green Arrow. I think he wants it more.
You think he wants it more?
I think he wants it more. So I guess it'd probably be Green Arrow.
Okay.
He's constantly trying to prove that he's better or as good as Batman, whereas Hawkeye is really not trying to prove himself to be as good or better than anybody. So,
let's do this one. Emily Nyman says Obi-Wan versus Gandalf. Whew. Well, that's also. All right. Let's. I'm not going to ride the line this time. We'll tackle this scientifically. Obi-Wan has the Force, and if the Force is available to use in this universe, it depends on a home turf. I think, but Obi-Wan's got the Force. Gandalf's got some magic. Gandalf can die and come back. Obi-Wan died
and comes back as a ghost.
As a ghost, though, Gandalf comes back like. I don't know if he's technically alive or not, but he can sure mess some dudes up. So.
Well, now here's the thing. Do you think he can do it again? Because he went from being Gandalf the Grey to being Gandalf the White. He changed forms, and he was Gandalf, but it was sort of a different Gandalf.
Well, didn't he do that because there's only so many colors of wizards in the world that are so many thousands of years old, and then Saruman became evil, so that he stopped being Saruman the White, and then Gandalf became Gandalf the White. I could be totally wrong on this.
That sounds like a story.
There's a spectrum of colors that are all because you have Radagast the Brown and all those guys,
and nobody can name any other wizards.
No, that's it. That's just those three.
Yeah,
I'm sure there are more. They're probably in Upper Earth or Lower Earth or Eastern Earth or Western Earth. I mean,
Gandalf has a lot of neat tricks that are good for fighting orcs, but I don't know about anything else. As a matter of fact. The most magical thing he tended to do was shine light from his staff when he was riding down the hill in the Two Towers.
I guess the Balrog did kill him, too. So.
And the Balrog did kill him, and he didn't really... He's not casting spells. I mean, I don't want to call Gandalf a shit wizard, but I mean, he's not, casting spells anytime. He's not firing magic missiles or nothing. When Gandalf gets in a fight, he's fighting with a sword. What the fuck is that about? He's this wizard. He should be staffing motherfuckers, and he does a little bit. I'll be fair.
He dual fists it in the movie. He's got the sword and the...
Yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like he's using his magic very much, and they just kind of made him into a more martial character, which is bullshit.
All right, let's try to get one more.
So, I'll say Obi-Wan,
right.
Emily. Obi-Wan.
What does this say? I can't read that. We got about 3 minutes left on the recording, so let's make sure we got everybody on the internets. I think we got...
Tom Marriott has some questions for us.
I think we actually we did the... we can do one more from him, absolutely. Favorite movie monster / creature, and why? That's a pretty good question. I'm going to have to think about this for a second, unless you got something.
Favorite movie creatures, probably... Gosh, that's a tough one.
That is a really tough one.
I'm going to give you 2 answers. It's 2 for the price of 1.
Oh!
One's The Thing, from the titular Thing from The Thing. It's a very varied thing. It can take on multiple forms, all of which are terrifying. They can pretend to be you. It can pretend to be anybody. It's some pretty neat stuff. One of my favorites. And my second answer is The Darkness from Legend. If you've never seen Legend, The Darkness is played by Tim Curry. No, not that Darkness. The Darkness is played by Tim Curry. And he's awesome. Okay. I just want you to know I'm going to be ready to interrupt the shit out of you during the middle of your thing and just start singing a song. So be careful not to say anything that is the name of a song or an artist, because it's coming. Anyway, your answer?
Aliens vs. Predator.
What?
Yeah, I love the aliens and the predators. I love them both.
Okay. Aliens and Predators.
Yeah, no, I gotta say, I like the aliens, the action figure form of the aliens, because they go in so many. There's like Arctic and volcano and forest and desert and tiger and. Oh my god! Like, if they did any of the sweet aliens that they did in action figure form back in the 90s, that would be an awesome movie. So, and the Predators are pretty cool too. Mm-hmm. I think they're very human. They're one of the more human aliens in movies that people fight. You have like Starship Troopers where they're like insects, and Star Trek obviously has mostly humanoid aliens. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I really like the Predators.
Concerning the previous question, Emily Nyman informs us that there are 5 wizards in total: 1 white, 1 gray, 1 brown, and 2 blue, and that the 2 blue wizards are unnamed. Thank you. So now we know there are other wizards. It's just they don't actually are not named or do not have names, which would be equally interesting.
All right. Well, we got about 30 seconds left, so we're gonna wrap it up here, and we're gonna keep chatting with you, the viewers, right now. But this will be it for the recorded portion. Mm-hmm. So for Jake and Trev Review Everything Live, I'm Jake.
I'm Trev.
And thanks for watching.